Our goal is really simple, right? We want to possess the football, we want to advance it, we want to score it. No one's going to reinvent the wheel, right? So despite what people say, football has remained pretty consistent over the better part of, let's call it 40 or 50 years as far as the forward pass goes. Against zone coverages, you need to control space, and you need to play with timing. Against man-to-man, somebody needs to win, right? And then you got to be really accurate as a passer. So when we talk about doing the same things better, how much can we tighten that loop, right, and get better in those regards? That's what practice is for. That's what the off season's for. That's what we've been working really hard at, and I'm excited to see where it goes in this line of work. But that's the goal, right? And where you fall short in some position groups is you don't do a good enough job planning for the future, right? Or things happen that disrupt future plans. Whether it's guys leaving early for the NFL, guys leaving the program. I think where we've been fortunate in that room is we've had a lot of consistency there, right? There's not a lot of attrition at that position. Even when we've lost guys early to the National Football League, the guys that have been in that class behind have been able to step up and join the party. Certainly being able to bring Eric in, I really feel like helps bridge the gap right now, especially for a guy like Addison Ostrenga, who's only going into his second year. And quite, I think in reality where Luke's at, this is right when you would want to see Luke emerging. And last year he really did that, which that's about the timeline you'd expect. And I'd even argue I think his growth was stunted a little bit by the pandemic and some of the practice restrictions. And really his whole class, those guys went about 18, 20 months without having a full training period as we would define it, right, in the weight room. So I've just been really pleased there, but I think that's how it works.
It's a few forces, some guys are really on it, and just really hasn't seemed like he's trying to press the issue. Sure.
In my experience, I'm a simple person. Leadership is earned, and it's usually earned through respect, right? I think there's a misconception about leadership being, back to Mike's question, talking about central casting, right? This isn't a movie out here. Nobody's writing a script. If you want to gain respect, you have to show up on a daily basis and be a consistent person and a consistent worker, and you have to demonstrate reliability before you can even begin to think about maybe vocalizing some leadership. That's what he did first from day one, and he let that happen. I think that's how it happened naturally. And then, if you earn respect, then people are going to listen to you. That's generally how it works. I think any business, we all live in a world. We live in a world right now where you can say anything you want in public in a leadership role without earning any respect, without doing any hard work, or sacrificing, or having any kind of integrity or character. You can just talk. It doesn't work that way on a football team. And so Cade's been impressive in that regard. But I'd also throw in a guy like Eric Hall, who to me has done very much the same thing. Right? He's not the quarterback, so you're not going to be the quote-unquote leader. But when you show up every day and work the way he's worked, and do some of the selfless things that he does on a daily basis, people listen to you right now.
I feel like I have a really good group of friends already here, and I already had a really great relationship with Eric. We were roommates at Michigan, but now, my best friend is Joe Evans. We're rooming together. Wherever I am, Joe usually is, and I think, me and Coop usually hang out a lot, like Jack Johnson, Tyler Ellsbury. There's a bunch of guys on the team that I hang out with, and I think, they've just been so cool to get to know, and I think, it really shows the brotherhood on this team, that a lot of these guys, we don't just have one guy that we hang out with all the time or whatever it is. Everyone's just so comfortable being with one another, and we all just truly enjoy each other's time. We have a lot of talent, and I think the thing that really stands out to me is the amount of effort that these guys give in practice and how much they are willing, or whatever they're willing to do to get better. They demonstrate that. They really care about getting better. We really care about doing well this season. And I think overall, as camp continues and as it'll continue through the season, I think as an offense, we're just constantly growing more confidence in one another.
It's really cool working real close with Brian and the offensive staff, and being able to, analyze what it is we're putting on tape, what the concepts are that we're doing, and being able to provide feedback, not only for the quarterback room, but conceptually, what I see, and confirming thoughts of what we felt like it was going to look like. And if there's something that's, a little bit different, then okay, let's sit down and study it and let's get to the bottom of it so we can make sure that it's an efficient plan for the guys out on the field. Yeah, I was able to get here in time for the spring so I could be around it, and it was more getting a feel for just kind of what they were doing, and that was the approach Brian wanted to take. This is kind of who we are, what we've been, and get a sense of what things thought could carry over, and what were some thoughts going forward that we might be able to transition into. And that's one thing I said earlier, but you don't get to have success in the position I'm in without a coordinator like Brian. He puts his ego aside. He's challenging himself. He's challenging myself to think differently, the staff, and that part I think is what ultimately is going to lead to success.
Max, to be honest with you, it's a long season. You're talking about 11, 12 games, 13, how many ever we get to, but it's a long season. Anything can happen. If you're relying on just one guy, I think that you're fooling yourself, because anybody can get hurt at any given moment. But I think they're all best if they have each other. So to answer your question directly, you need to stay with how they respond to a playbook or how they respond to tough coaching at times. And I can say for both of the young men, they're tough runners. They're very capable of running, but they take the coaching well too, which I like. Caleb, of course, has the size and speed on him, but LaShawn, I think, has a little bit more short area quickness. He's a guy, if a broken play is there, he might be able to make a guy miss. One or two guys miss. That's kind of his MO. And he's very adaptive to passing game as well, too. So they just complement each other. Different styles.
I don't want to run the ball. I want to be able to receive the ball and receive the ball and pass block is a big thing here. So being able to do that is a really big thing too. The small things matter. So that's what I'm working on. Same thing, but it's gonna be even more work. It's gonna be a lot more impact because I got more confidence now in myself. And the first year I was like just running the ball, just running. But like now it just like seems like they're like, well, all my confidence now is gonna be even more voice for people. So I'm just gonna come and dominate.
I absolutely agree with Coach Barnett. It obviously helped me with the O-line being more advanced and having more experience, because now they have a better understanding of who they're supposed to go to, their assignments, which will open up things for me and all the other running backs. So it'll obviously help us in that way. And, I mean, it's always good having an experience like that. I feel like we're more focused. We all got a chip on our shoulder, and we don't want to have the season that we had last year or the production that we did last year. So we all looking forward to this year and putting new film on tape.
I'm always the same guy, and that's one of the things I was taught as a young coach is consistency. You have to be the same guy, number one, and number two, you have to be myself every day. If I all of a sudden start trying to be somebody else, I'm trying to be like Coach Wallace or try to be like Coach Barnett, they're going to see right through me, because that's not me, that's not my personality, that's not my coach style. So first things first, I have to show through them who I am every day through all true authenticity. So that's where it starts, that's where it builds that trust, and that's all I can ask in return is just, I'm honest with you, I'm showing you who I am, I'm being vulnerable with you, I'm asking the same thing in return. So it's a daily development, it's a daily process in that. And, whether it be a first-year guy coming out of high school or a transfer Florida kid or somebody like Nico, who it feels like he's been here 15 years, I love him. It's every day building that trust. And I tell the guys all the time, trust takes forever to earn, but it takes one bad moment, one bad decision to lose. So every day we're trying to build on that trust, and so far so good. So I just got to keep being me and keep showing them who I am, and they do the same thing. We all know it starts and ends up front, right? You can't win football games without controlling the line of scrimmage. So when Coach Barnett walks in the room or walks out here on the field and his chest is poked out and he's got some confidence to him, that makes me feel, I stand a little taller when Coach Barnett walks on this field and he's got confidence, and I see it. I see it on the field when the guys perform in practice and scrimmage situations. The quarterbacks are having time to go through their reads and progressions. We're having time to do what we need to do in the pass game or in the run game. When that back is squirting through there on run plays and stuff like that, and it's up to us to what we call spring block the running back through, and we get it fitted on the right the right DB to spring that block. That's what it's all about. So it's really been awesome, and I truly feel like it's been a blessing to watch how this offense has kind of transitioned and matured. And I'm looking for big things this fall.
Re-energized. I feel like all of us, a bunch of guys on the offense have come from different places that are going to be playing important roles this upcoming season. But whether you came from Michigan or Ohio State or Seth coming from Charleston, I feel like all of us have a chip on our shoulder from last year. None of our seasons went the way we wanted to go, and watching us practice, I feel like you could feel that within our team. So I feel like that's one way we've really leaned on Cade, because he has that chip on his shoulder, and we're all ready to go.
It was cool. I mean, we kind of like we already knew each other, so it was like we kind of like tried to like not stay like, we kind of like try to spread ourselves around the team and hang with different guys. We didn't want to be stuck with each other the whole time. So, but it was very like cool just seeing Cade and having someone to reminisce about stuff about like when we were at Michigan and different trips we taken together. So that's always great. And anytime when you're on a team or you're real close with somebody for that long, it's always great to be around them. So it was definitely great having a competitive dude. We compete at like anything, like who can get in the first stretching position first, like because we switch, like we get on the little foam rollers and we get in a bunch of different positions and we like race to see who gets in the first position and stuff like that. But one of the highest competing dudes I know for sure. We just do whatever it takes to make the team win. Get the Big Ten title. Hopefully, get in the playoffs and compete for the national championship.
All right, those are big goals. They would love that here.
I mean, it's the expectation. It's the standard. We set a standard here. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do, and we're going to chase it until it comes to reality.
Not coming here exactly, but then I learned about Coach Fry and the legacy he left, and it's truly an honor to have the same name as him. I mean, my last name, I feel like growing up was like kind of like, oh crap, my last name's large. Kind of small growing up too, but now it's kind of an honor, and honestly, I like it. It's an opportunity, of course, and whatever Coach Ferentz wants, I'm bought in on whatever he decides to do.
Has anybody ever